SpiceJet down about 24%. Indigo relatively resilient with losses of about 9% despite management changes. So what's causing the turbulence in the sector? More pertinently to Jet individually as well. Soumeet is here with an analysis. Soumeet, so what are you talking about first, the space or Jet Airways?
I'll talk about the space first. Now, if you see the aviation turbine fuel prices, now year to date, the ATF prices have been heading higher. In January 2018, compared to last year, the prices were 9% higher. In April 2018, they were higher by 19%, followed by a rise of around 25%, 39%, and 43% in the month of July 2018. Now, though crude prices have come off a bit, the crude prices are still at a higher level when compared to last year. So this is definitely going to impact the cost structure of an aviation company. Now, ATF prices generally is 35 to 40% of the total operating cost for an airline company, and higher ATF prices will definitely impact the cost structure of an airline company. Now, secondly, along with this, most of the expenses for an airline company are dollar denominated. Now, if you see in financial year 2019 so far, rupee has depreciated by 5.6%. Lease cost, fuel cost, spare parts and other expenses are the expenses which are generally paid in US dollars, and a higher rupee and a weaker rupee means that the aviation companies need to shell out more for these expenses, which again impacts the operational performance of these airline companies. Now, if you see the first quarter of financial year 2019, which is the first quarter, which is generally a strong quarter for an airline company. Now, reports are suggesting that the pricing environment in this quarter was weak. Now, that is bad news for the airline companies, because if you see the second quarter, which is the current quarter, now this is not a strong quarter for the airline companies. So prices are expected to remain weak in this quarter also. So if the prices remain weak in the second quarter, this means that the prices have been weak for the airline companies for the third consecutive quarter. And by prices, I mean the low ticket prices. Now, ticket prices, if they remain weak in the second quarter, which means that the pricing environment for the airline companies will remain weak for the third consecutive quarter. So sentiments are weak for the airline companies, because in one hand there is no pricing support, but on the other hand, the expenses are rising for all the airline companies.
Despite all of this, I mean, while there is pressure for the space at large, why is it that Jet Airways individually has corrected so much compared on a relative basis?
So if you see, the problem with Jet is that these lower fares and higher expenses impact the company, because the cost structure of the company is the higher when compared to the low cost carriers, that is Indigo and SpiceJet. Now, if you see Jet Airways cost per seat kilometer, that has been in the range of 4 to 4.8 rupees per available seat kilometer, while that for Indigo and SpiceJet, they are on a lower trend. Now, on an average, Jet's cost per available seat kilometer is 32 to 47% higher when compared to Indigo, and when compared to SpiceJet, it is around 14 to 30% higher. So a higher expenses and lower pricing environment will impact Jet Airways more than the other two listed airline companies, that is SpiceJet and Indigo. Now, because of these factors that I just mentioned, Jet Airways is expected to report a loss in this quarter. That is the first quarter of financial year 2019, and this will be the second consecutive quarter where the company is expected to do so. In fact, in this first quarter, Jet Airways will be the only airline company to report a loss among the listed peers. Now, in first quarter, the company is expected to report a loss of 565 crore rupees, and this will be followed after a loss that the company reported in the last quarter of close to 1,000 crore rupees. So this is again negative for the company. And if you see the balance sheet of the company, now the balance sheet of the company is also weak. The net worth of the company has been negative. The debt of the company is very high at 8,424 crore rupees when compared to other peers. Now, over the years, they have been able to reduce that debt. But if the current market conditions remain for a very long time, then it will be difficult for the company to repay its debt going forward. Lastly, if you see the capacity addition, now by capacity addition, I mean available seat kilometers, that is one seat flying per available per kilometer. Now, for industry on an average, the capacity has been increasing by 17 to 20%, and in that time period, Jet's capacity has increased by only 7.5 to 14%. So they have been lagging in capacity addition when compared to the industry. So broadly, these are the main reasons why Jet Airways has been lagging more when compared to other airline companies like Indigo and SpiceJet.
You know, I just want to pull up that one graph that Soumeet gave, and which is the net profit performance for the last few quarters. And this alone gives you a story. Just when everybody was talking about how the aviation space now has some moats around it and the business model is changing, the last 8 quarters, if there is one term that describes their profit performance and the bottom line performance, Soumeet, that's erratic, right?
Yeah, it's not
even in the good times, very erratic, and now when the bad times have come in, some terrible performances.
Yes, it's a terrible performance. 1,000 crore loss. for the full year, they have again reported a loss. The last time they had reported such a loss was in financial year 2015. After 2 years when the crude prices were low, the performance was good, not good, but better compared to last year. And again, when the crude prices are higher, the company reported a loss of 1,000 crores. So you can see how related Jet Airways' performance is to crude prices when compared to other players.
And how low the resilience is to the external factor.
Yes, exactly.
Difficult to make a big investment case here, and which is probably showing in the stock as well, trading at what, 52-week lows currently, if I'm not wrong. Soumeet, thanks for putting that into perspective. Really well done.